When we started looking at dentistry in the UK, I assumed it would be like the US, but with a little bit different accents and maybe a national health system thrown in.
Mm.
But as we dug in and pulled government reports, patient surveys, and regulator strategy documents, we were surprised at what we found. Today, Sarah and I are going to walk through what we assumed about UK dentistry, what the data says, and where we're still guessing. Because some of this we genuinely don't know yet, and we're not going to pretend we do.
In today's episode, we're going to cover two main things that we assumed about UK dentistry that actually turned out to be a little more complicated than we were expecting. So the first thing is the patient's in a completely different place emotionally. People aren't really choosing private dental care these days. A lot of them are just being forced into it. And then the other thing is what you're allowed to say in UK dental advertising would surprise any American. Some of our most standard tactics are either restricted or just outright banned. So the first thing that hit us that we learned is this isn't always an aspirational shift. People aren't going private because they want like a higher end or spa-like experience. We saw a Health Watch England survey in, I think, 2025 that said 32% of people in England used private dentistry in the past year, and that's up from like 22% the year prior, or like a couple years prior. So that's 10 points in a couple years. That's saying something.
Yeah, that is different because we assumed they were using it to get a higher end experience or get different treatments, but they're not.
Just
They're
like we
using
are
it
here.
out of necessity. We were talking to a dentist out of Manchester the other day that, a lady's son had chipped a tooth, and she called around, and eventually she showed up at a private dentist because they could see her quicker, and she was more confident that they were going to fix the tooth right. So for her, she wasn't really choosing a private dentist. She felt she had to,
Yeah.
and it's so fascinating because and even when he was telling that story, he talked about she viewed private dentistry as higher end, and she said, well, I want it fixed right. And he chuckled to himself inside and saying, well, I'm both. Like, how do you know
Yeah.
I'm better than
Like
the
clinically
NHS dentist? Yeah,
better.
clinically better.
That's so true.
And but to the folks who are choosing, and a big percentage of that 10-point jump, and 32% is 1 in 3 almost, right?
hmm
They're choosing because they feel like they have to, and that creates a different um, problem to solve for dentists that are wanting to go private.
Yeah. So that changes the whole picture. Because here in the US, people are actively choosing to go fee for service. Like they're seeking that out. It's not something that they're forced into. It's aspirational. And so opting out of insurance, they've made an active decision. But in the UK, from what we can tell, a huge chunk of those private patients didn't choose anything. The system just failed them and they had nowhere to go.
When you go to a private or a fee-for-service office,
Would I?
what are you looking for?
Oh, what am I looking for?
Yeah.
I think just an unhurried and I guess a little bit more, I don't want to say boutique. That's just such like a buzzword, but where I think everything is just more tailored and a little bit more personal, I would say. Like it just feels better when you go into an office and they're like, oh, hey, Sarah, how are you? Like, come on back. Like, and you have the same hygienist every time. They get to know you. They talk to you. They know like what you've been dealing with. They know even just outside of personal things. Like they know that you brought up that you might be interested in Invisalign and like, how are you feeling about that? Like there's no pressure. It's just a little bit different than when you go somewhere that's insurance driven. You're just kind of in and out and it almost feels a little more pushy.
You said boutique.
I know. I couldn't think of another word on the spot.
Yeah. But you know what you didn't mention? Netflix or blankets or Bose headphones.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't know that I care about those. Those don't add to my...
now, if I was having treatment, 100%.
Mhm.
But if I'm just going for, your checkups and x-rays and things like that, I don't need it. But it is nice when they have the little massage chairs. It's relaxing. It's like a little built-in me time.
Like send you out with a little glass of wine.
That would be a little counterintuitive, but
I
I
see.
would love it.
I'm the same. When I think of choosing private dentistry, I want the NHS seems so rushed and hurried, and when we talk to the
Because it is.
because when we talk to principals there, there's this almost you know drill and fill mentality of getting them in, getting them out,
Hmm. So they can make ends meet.
and staging treatment, and really it's around slowing down, and I, it's that really is one of the most fascinating metrics up there is the financially struggling private dental use is double. And if you think about the reason we choose dentists the way we do, and then you think they don't even want that, they just want to get their teeth fixed quickly.
Hmm.
It, the communication and the way that we talk to patients really needs to change. And the we were talking to a dentist the other day, and he was mentioning that like there sometimes patients are upset at the principal dentist because somehow they're the failure of NHS,
Yeah, they're the face of it.
the face of it, and like, my God, I'm trying to fix your teeth, and you're busting my chops over not
Yeah,
NHS. Like I
because they're so accustomed to some of the healthcare things being free or really, really expensive. And so then they're like, wait, what's going on?
yeah, and that so it's not really a choice. The UK patient is making. The system has failed them, and they have a lack of options.
Right.
One of the things we learned was there's a gym membership for your teeth.
A what?
Mm-hmm. That's how it was described to me. Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
No, it doesn't. This concept doesn't exist in the U.S. at all.
Mm-mm.
It's this den plan. It's you pay around 15 to 25 pounds a month, like a gym membership, and it gets you your checkups, your hygiene visits, the basics. And practice plan's another one doing the same thing,
Hmm.
so you
So,
can work out your teeth.
yeah. So why do dentists like this concept?
Well, it's it's helping them get matched better, but they're choosing this plan because the subscription's an entry point to the relationship. And so it's giving the dentist additional ways to get more patients in and talk to
Hmm.
them about treatments in the cash pay arena. And so it's really an introduction, right? And
Hmm.
it's fundamentally a different way patients in practice to find each other. But I, we're honestly not sure how big of a deal it is right now.
Yeah. Okay. So something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Okay. So we're going to be completely transparent here, but there's still a whole lot that we can't answer from Texas. And one of those is whenever a UK patient needs to see a private dentist, what are they doing first? Like, how are they going about that? Are they Googling? Are they using AI? Are they asking a friend? Or maybe they're looking for like a den plan practice first. Not quite sure how that goes.
Yeah, and if you're used to paying 27 quid for a checkup your whole life and someone's now telling you to pay $3,000 for implants, you've got to look at what that feels like from
Hmm.
the patient experience. And it's a different emotional conversation than what we're used to in the US because we're not used to free healthcare, so there's no educational component
Hmm.
or change that's being denied us.
Yeah, exactly. But on a lighter note, what are some curiosities that you have or other things that you don't know about the UK?
I mean, I'm a little embarrassed to admit it. Like when you think of the UK, the stereotype is, there's an older generation that, don't prioritize the cosmetics as much as we do.
Hmm.
And, you know, I love the greatest British baking show. And I don't know why that's hard for me to say,
It's
but it
every
is.
time we struggle.
Uh-huh. And not it's so funny because Prue is from South Africa, by the way. I didn't even know that. But
Really?
yeah, and you know, I didn't know. But anyway, I'm still a fan. Um, and you can see, like, I love the show, but I find myself really paying attention to the different ages of them,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a distinct cutoff at around 35, where people who look 35, their teeth are noticeably wider and straighter.
Really?
And I would imagine that there's some truth to and discovery around, the age and the socioeconomic factors and that play some here, because my parents didn't prioritize their oral
Mm-hmm.
care the same way that we ask, Emily and I ask the girls to. That's something I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What about you, Sarah?
What am I curious about? I'm curious about if social media is big there as well in the dental space. And just curious, I would want to compare how like a cosmetic dentist uses social media here compared to there, and if it's, similar or non-existent, or maybe even it's more impactful than what we're seeing in the US.
You have to imagine that it plays a big role.
Mm-hmm.
These are some questions we genuinely love a UK dentist to answer.
Mm-hmm.
If you treat patients every day, or some of these things, drop us a line. We want to hear from you.
Okay, so that was the patient side. Now let's get into the marketing side, because what you're allowed to say to those patients is a completely different ballgame in the UK. The first thing we noticed is you can't call yourself a specialist. Like here, you can say Dr. Smith, implant specialist on every other website. But in the UK, the word specialist is actually restricted by the GDC, which is their dental regulator.
Mhm.
But unless you have like a specialist resignation, you just can't use that word.
Yeah, it's frustrating because outside of pediatrics and known oral surgery, things like that, you
Mm-hmm.
can call yourself an implant specialist all day long and no one
Yeah.
can care. Um, yeah. So it's good to know
Mm-hmm.
that
I
that
wonder
this.
though, like how do you monitor that? Like, are people just turning you in? Like, is there somebody checking that?
I'm sure it's some form of competitors, and
Mm-hmm.
snitches get stitches.
Kind of
But
like it is here, I guess.
I would imagine it's competitors or people who are out there just trying to do good or trying to cause trouble either way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
but it's a good thing. I mean, I don't know that we should lightly throw around
Right.
specialist in a if you've done 2 implants and call yourself a specialist,
That's not representative of.
probably not good marketing
Yeah,
anyway.
agreed. Well, the next one is apparently whenever you list a doctor on your website, you have to have their full name, all their qualifications, and their GDC registration number
Their
there,
BMI and weight
and
as
all
well.
all of their stats. Um, yeah. So it's interesting because here we don't have our MPI numbers like listed publicly. Really, it's only used by offices or inner office.
Yeah, you have to wonder, is that in magazines and everywhere, is that just digitally? But I assume it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I guess that's something else, just for another layer of safety for patients, like making sure
Mhm.
the dentists are who they say they are. So that makes sense. Okay, but here's another wild one: before and after photos. So here in the US, like everyone's taking their best transformations, like you're having some great lighting and you post it on your website, your social media, everywhere, right? Well, in the UK, before and after photos have to be genuine, representative, and they have to be signed and dated, apparently.
Mm.
Like you can't manipulate the light, you can't like pick out your best case. It's it's so interesting.
I'm a fan. I I wish we had this in the US. To me, this is, of course you want to put your best work forward, but I I think if we're going to be in service of one another, we should honestly represent what a patient can expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how regulated this is, but I really like this.
Yeah, it's hard. I understand it and I like it, but to another degree, I feel like why would you not want to show your best case. Like if you have 3 Invisalign cases, why would you not want to show your best? I guess you just show them all. Like, I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm here for it.
Hmm.
All right, another one, which I think is a given, but guaranteed results. Like we don't do that really here, but we do have warranties on
Yeah.
certain procedures like crowns and things like that. But you can't have like a perfect smile guaranteed or anything like that. That's already bad marketing in general, but especially in the UK, it's like a whole investigation. And then there is the $99 new patient special, and that's something that US practices will run ads for left and right. But in the UK, a £99 new patient offer is kind of like in this weird gray area, supposedly.
Yeah, and it can be considered an inducement to clinical treatment. It's not banned outright, but that is something that we use all the time
Mm-hmm.
in the US. And it's, not only the $99 new patient special, but the $999 implant or the, $3,000 Invisalign. Those are specials that we run all the time. And it is a legitimate marketing tactic to get
Yeah.
people in, especially in the slower months.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's going to have to be something that we work around as we
Right.
in there. But it's really around, you can't induce the fear of missing out and
The FOMO.
the FOMO.
I get
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
And then the last main thing is just urgency tactics in general, like saying, like, book now, there's only 5 slots left, or like the offer is good until Friday. Like over here, that's kind of a standard ad copy, so to speak. But in the UK, their advertising authority says that it has like all the conditions have to be in the ad.
Of all the tactics that get me the most, it's that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I like my boots, and they'll do limited edition leather runs, and there'll be like 2 leathers left.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exclusivity or scarcity.
yeah, I mean, that's how I ended up with $10,000 in boots, but that's probably a whole separate podcast. But, I'm like, well, I need that.
Yeah.
There's only 2 left. I mean,
There's something to it. Like, especially even on Amazon, you'll see there's, like only 5 left, like order now. And you're like, well, I had my eye on that, so I think I'll better check out.
Are you good at returning things after you've bought the last of the 5?
Am I good at returning them?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Like if you didn't want it, you are.
I call myself the return queen.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not so much for me.
So you get stuck with a lot of boots.
Stuck with boots.
But it's not just the regulations that are different, it's the words, everything that they say. So we say office, and they say a surgery. And we say doctor, they say clinician. We say financing, and they say patient finance. Another one is we say practice owner, and they say principal dentist. And if you get any of those wrong, it's basically just telling a UK dentist that you didn't care enough to learn about their world.
They also casually use the word cunt, which I'm not quite sure I know what to do with.
Beep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there in not England, but up in Edinburgh. And this bartender was like, you're a good solid cunt. And I was like, well,
You're like,
sir.
clutch my pearls.
I was clutching my pearls. I was like, sir, I just got here. But on a serious note, they are drier and more understated.
Yeah.
And there's a story that, is I find funny, but we were at a restaurant, and my daughter Evelyn, who's 14, ordered some drink, that they were making, some non-alcoholic drink they made at the bar. And the bartender dropped it off, and he's like, "Oh, I got this from the bar. I didn't know we serve kids alcohol now," and kind of, set it on the table. And obviously I was watching his face, and he was smiling, and had kind of a, an eyebrow raise. And Emily was so committed to going and like following up after him and making sure that he
Like,
was
wait,
joking. Wait, are you
are
joking?
you
Like
sure?
she's 14. He's like, yes, ma'am. Of course she is. But they
Silly Americans.
silly Americans. But
Uh,
those are moments that really do are indicative of the difference. And we're so over the top with our
oh, yeah.
language, and we love a good OMG.
That's amazing. I love it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everything's pretty
Mm-hmm.
exaggerated. Yeah.
And going into the UK and talking in the UK space, we do need to be mindful that we sound like, bunch of crazy Americans running
Mm-hmm.
around.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Can't show up and talk like a motivational speaker.
Yeah. And it's tough, but, we got to run around and be like, put another shrimp on the barbie.
Isn't that Australia?
Is it?
That's,
Frightened.
that's Australian too.
I'm doing the
See?
best I
They're going to be
can.
like,
All right. We should not do that then.
But the silver lining here is that the UK's stricter rules might actually force better marketing. If you can't lean on like shock value or these before and afters or like guarantees or just pressure in general, you have to be more thoughtful and creative, and you have to lead with the patient's story and building a connection and building trust.
And that is what sells dentistry. I mean, the world over, the average consumer in any country doesn't really understand the difference between a clinically good dentist and a clinically average one.
All right.
We just know how they made us feel. And several years ago, we did some market research and we asked people, how did you choose your dentist? No,
Mm-hmm.
the phrasing was, how did you choose your dentist? And then they were given an option, a list that, Google, various
Yeah.
things. And there was an opportunity to write in. And the highest write in was their chairside manner. Now, think about the insanity of that. We asked you how you chose your dentist and you wrote in their chairside manner. How would you know?
Yeah, I was about to say, how do you know?
Right. And, but the thing of that is it highlights we associate skill with almost this likability or warmth.
Mm-hmm.
And I, you nailed it. The UK is not harder to market in. It rewards better marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put the clinician and the principal forward, be specific, be human, and earn that trust through marketing, those constraints
Mm-hmm.
aren't viewed as negative. In fact, it's not harder to market. It rewards the better marketing.
Yeah. And shameless plug, but that's what we've been doing at Pain Free, right? For however many years, we've been preaching this to our clients. Like, we're not trying to sell the dentistry or the procedures. We're trying to build connection and tell the practice's story.
Well said. And
You can read it.
this is what we've found so far, and we're still learning. And the best way to learn is to shut up and listen. So
Amen.
that's what the series is for.
Yep. So if you're a UK dentist and you're listening to this thinking like, man, they got this wrong, or like they missed this biggest thing, come tell us. We want to hear it. There's going to be a link to come on the show in the notes.
And the next time we'll be talking about the gap between the click and the chair. That's ominous. The one operational problem that kills more marketing return on investment than anything else, in no matter the country you're in. If you're spending money on ads or your follow-up is slow, you're going to need to be like and subscribed.
Yeah. Well, that was your bite of dental marketing.
Cheerio.